Hi, shalom, shalom. Welcome. We got a special announcement today, which is an invitation for this coming Passover. Pesach is scheduled to be on the first day of April, Tuesday night, which is the 14th of Aviv, which begins today, actually, according to the reckoning of the Zadok priesthood and the heavenly tablets. This is the time of the year, the spring. So we want to invite you to our Passover at 7 o'clock on Tuesday for our Seder. And Seder means order, the order of the service. And the service is an invitation for the telling, the Haggadah, of the magnificent story of the Exodus from Egypt, which is continued to the Passover of Messiah and the institution of the Brit Chadashah, the New Covenant. So, just as a reminder that as we go shopping in the next couple of weeks, try to avoid things with leaven, the chametz, yeast products, because beginning on Tuesday, we do not eat any leavened bread or yeast products for the next 7 days. Because on the next day, the 15th, is the first day of unleavened bread. For 7 days, you eat that. And there's a lot of imaginative ways of making it more entertaining. But we want to keep it simple matzah, just flour and water. There's all kinds of matzah that are sold that are tasty and have ingredients, but most of them have it with yeast and with leaven. Okay? Did you give me a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Nice. My wife just gave me a thumbs up. Okay? So, according to Torah, what we need is the lamb, the bit of herbs, and the matzah. Okay, we don't have a physical lamb because the lamb has been slain, the Seha Elohim, the perfect lamb, the spotless lamb without leaven, without yeast of infection. It was perfect, was Messiah. Messiah was perfect. The lambs were brought up in Bethlehem, and for 4 days, starting with the 10th day, just as Messiah entered into Jerusalem, they evaluated the health and the condition of the lamb. And that's why Messiah was so interrogated in those last 4 days. And on the 14th, these same lambs were slaughtered, and their blood was poured into a basin. And the doorposts and the lentils in Egypt were covered in the blood as a sign. So Messiah took a basin with water, and he washed the feet of the Talmudim as a sign of covenant faithfulness and love. And we see that observed in the time of the Orchatz, the washing. So we wash our hands according to the traditional Seder. But for those who can, and if you have somebody with you, if you have a basin with water and a towel, you can wash each other's feet, which was a symbol of love and faithfulness. So it's not an elaborate thing. You just dip your feet in the basin, pour a little water, give it a little rub-a-dub. No need for soaping, lathering. Just a sign for us, for each other. Messiah says, if you don't allow me to wash your feet, you have no part in me. So it was a serious thing, the washing of the feet. So don't be intimidated of that. And if you're watching by yourself, you can wash your hands, or you can, just pour a little water in your hands and just clean yourself. Or if you want to do your own feet, you can do that. Okay, not to be confused, not to intimidate or anything like that. And the other element that we need is grape juice or wine, if you're so inclined, because we will be having 4 cups, not full cups, but symbolically 4 cups. Okay, and as far as food is concerned, you can eat because it's a day of work, so you can cook something nice. Just make sure there's no leaven, no yeast, and we generally keep it simple, like a Mediterranean type thing with olives and pickles and finger foods, dates and macaroons, kind of stuff like that there. And the important thing also is to enter this with the right framework, the right frame of mind, because the whole concept of what we know as communion, or the Lord's table, the Lord's Supper, if you will, is all rooted in the Pesach. Passover is essential, just as Paul in 1 Corinthians 5:7 reminds us that we should keep the feast, not with the leavened bread of perversion and filth and corruption, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So keep the feast, shamar, observe it, guard it, protect it. And we need to guard it. So shamar is the right word there. So Messiah, we see that Shaul, the Apostle Paul, quotes him in chapter, okay, where did I go? I'll get the scripture right here before me. I want to make sure that I can, okay, chapter 11, verse 27. We need to examine ourselves, evaluate ourselves, prevent us from being judged by others, and avoid judgment. We judge ourselves. We pass the test, we participate. Okay? And Shaul says the immortal words, "For I received from the Lord that which I also delivered to you, that Adon Yeshua, on the same night he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, 'Take and eat. This is my body which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me.'" Not in a transubstantiation where the body and the blood are formed somewhere within the body, from the matzah, which it becomes, a host, some sort of a flaky thing, but it was matzah at the Passover. And it was Passover because Messiah said, I've longed to have this Passover with you. So there are those who are teaching, well, it was a week before, a week after, or some other day. I don't know why. There was conflicting calendars. We do know that. But this was Pesach. This was the genuine Pesach. Yeshua is the focal point of Pesach, as the Seha Elohim, the Passover lamb without spot or blemish. Okay? And in the same manner, he also took after the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the Brit Chadashah in my blood. Do this as often as you drink in remembrance of me." Okay, so there we have the two things: eating of the matzah, drinking of the wine, which is symbolic. Because remember, Messiah had said earlier, "Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part in me." And again with the orchatz, when Kepha says, "I'm not going to let you wash my feet," what did Messiah say? "You have no part in me unless you let me wash your feet. You have no part in me." Okay? Do this in remembrance of me. Drink it. Eat it. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim Yahweh's death, Yeshua's death till he comes. Okay, which is actually the fourth cup when he comes back as the Son of Man. Okay, so the important thing here is the word "this," which is ta'uton. This, it's the masculine form of hutos, which specifically this one, this, such as, absolutely demonstrative pronoun, the same. But we're told to examine ourselves, examine yourself. So therefore, whoever eats this bread or drinks this cup of Yahweh in an unworthy manner will be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord, Adon. But let a man examine himself. So let him eat. A lot of people say, they check it out. I get. Well, in other words, you're in the thrusts of doing something so heinous that you can't fellowship with Yah. This is why we present ourselves now. This is the first day of the month of Aviv. We have 2 weeks, 2 weeks until April 1st, to make sure that we work this stuff out. Examine yourself. This is this bread and this wine. What is this? It's the matzah. It's the cup of redemption, the third cup of the Passover that Messiah decided to make the symbolism of this great event. And there are those who believe that the Messianic believers in the first century took these things, and that's why we have the four cups. That's why we have the orchatz. That's why we have these things which have found their way into the traditional Jewish Haggadah. But whether that's true or not doesn't really matter. But the point is that we examine ourselves, and then we eat and we drink. Because remember, he says, when you eat and when you drink with somebody in open rebellion, you're joining in their works of evil, okay? So we are eating and drinking in union with each other and with Yahuwah, with the eternal Yah. For he who eats and drinks in an unworthy manner or unworthily in a manner that's unbecoming, eats and drinks judgment to himself, not discerning Yahweh's body. Okay, for this reason, many are weak, sick among you, and many sleep. For if we would only judge ourselves, examine ourselves, we would not be judged. Okay, and when we are judged, we are chastened by Yahweh, that we may not be condemned with the world. So again, if we're judged, we're chastened. We're not burned to a crisp. We're chastened. We learn the hard way sometimes, the painful way sometimes, that we may not be condemned with the world. So again, we're not condemned. We're judged, but we're not condemned. We're chastened. Get a little slap on the butt. Your kid takes some cookies from the jar when you told them no. Dinner's coming up in 5 minutes. You'll have to wait. He takes the cookie, and what do we do? Well, I don't want to guess, but little corrective measures maybe. Therefore, my brethren, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. If anyone is hungry, let him eat at home, lest you come together for judgment, and the rest I'll set in order when I come. And of course, that's what Paul says. So again, this famous communion portion here, which we read in the appropriate time during the Passover Seder, is the connection of Passover, the connection with communion, the body of the Lamb, whose blood is applied to the doorposts and lintels of our bodies, of our spirits and souls. So I just wanted to call and let you know that after these 5 years of broadcasts, which I think is a very personal thing, but I do know there's many of you out there who don't have access to a Passover. And again, this is not to be taken lightly. This is not for everybody, because we don't want you eating and drinking judgment if you're not a true believer. You need to be completely, solely observant of yourself as well as Yah. So examine yourself. And again, for those who have no other place to go, please join us. And like I said, it's April 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to have you. And like I said, the other things we can work out, you can ask me questions during the chat time when we meet this coming Shabbat or next Wednesday for our midweek midrash. We still have some time here, so I'm letting you know this time what we're doing. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. And it's a great learning experience, and a great experience is what it is. So we thank you so much for hearing, and paying attention to this emergency broadcast. So for now, we say shalom, shalom, and we will catch you. In fact, later tonight, we will be broadcasting for the midweek midrash, in which we will be celebrating this Rosh Chodesh, the new month, the new advance. So again, we say shalom, shalom. Be well, be strong, be faithful, examine ourselves. We need to do that more often. We need to take inventory, and that's what spring cleaning is all about, right? We do a little of this, a little of that, and but again, watch your shopping list with the yeast and the leaven. Be careful of certain foods we shouldn't have. A lot of people either throw the food out they have or put it in a bag and put it outside their home, whatever. Chametz becomes a very important issue. Chametz, the unleavened bread, is essential for us. So for now, we say shalom, shalom. Be well, be strong, and we'll check you out later.